Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Well, I'm back for my second live stream this month. And the reason that I'm actually doing another live stream this month is because if you missed it last week, I did a poll on YouTube and I asked people, would you prefer that I do live streams once a month, once a week, or twice a month? And so twice a month actually won. So that is what I am aiming. I'm aiming to do 2 live streams a month from now on. I'm going to be doing the first Thursday of every month and the third Thursday of every month. Lord willing, you never know what comes up. But as of right now, that's the plan. Hi, H Kitty Crazy. Hi, Kelly Patterson. Nice to see both of you here. So, it has really been a crazy day getting ready for this live stream today. If you noticed my hideous thumbnail, I never use my picture in thumbnails. You've probably noticed that with my videos. I did it at the beginning when I first started my channel just because I didn't know how to upload new and all that. But since I learned how, I don't use my picture in my thumbnails just because I don't like them like that. Well, so I made this thumbnail today for my live stream and YouTube will not let me upload it. It will not save. So I had to quick run upstairs and put makeup on because I didn't have makeup on when I was trying to get everything ready. And I ended up taking like 10 or 15 different pictures because I didn't like any of the pictures. I'm still not even happy with the one that I got there, but it was better than nothing. So anyway, I'm so glad to see that you're all here. I wasn't sure if people would know to come because I never really announced that I was going to start doing it twice a month other than, earlier today I said it. So I'm glad to see that you're all here. So what I'm actually going to be talking about today is compulsory schooling, bad parenting, and how they're connected. And the reason that I decided to talk about this is because last week, I think, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I made a meme, a picture, which basically says, I see that you're on time, Erica, which basically says that compulsory schooling is not a right, it's not a privilege. And a lot of people, you will always hear people in the US talking about that all the time, about how compulsory education in the United States is a right, or some people might call it a privilege, depending on who you're asking. And I am one of those people that will tell you that no, compulsory schooling is not a right or a privilege, because compulsory schooling is mandated by the government. You have to abide by the compulsory school laws. And rights and privileges are not things that are forced on the citizens, that are forced on the populace. So that is what my whole meme was about. And I actually posted it the other day. I think on Twitter also. And I will always inevitably get someone who will say something to me along the lines of, well, not everybody can be homeschooled. Some people have bad parents. And that is true. And that is actually, that really got the wheels turning in my head. Because one person actually said to me, you can't possibly think that Ed is going to be homeschooled. And in a perfect world, I think everybody would homeschooled just because it would mean that compulsory laws were set in place to begin with. It would be the way that it used to be, pre-mid-1860s, when the compulsory school laws were made. But I know that not everybody is going to homeschool. And yes, I also realize that there are cases where parents really should not be homeschooling their kids. And when I say bad parents, I think this is really important to point out. I'm not talking about different parenting styles. When I say bad parent, I'm not referring to like what sorts of food they give their kids or whether or not they vaccinate. Or whether they breast or bottle feed. I am not referring to bad parenting as any of those things. When I say bad parenting, I am referring to parents who are abusive, parents who are neglectful. That is what I am referring to as bad parenting. But I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that they always want school to be the answer for bad parenting. Kids have bad parents. That's why we have to have school in place. But I think that a lot of people don't understand that it is compulsory schooling that is really a major root of bad parenting to begin with. Because before compulsory schooling, the family was always together. The family was learning together, working together, living together. They were together all the time. And so as the generations went past, kids saw models of proper parenting behavior. And of course, I know that not everybody pre-compulsory schooling was perfect parents either. But there was not this huge epidemic of unparenting and other sorts of things that are going on right now. So once kids were taken out of their homes and forced to go to school all day long, a few generations passed, those kids did not have that model of what family looked like. That bond that was there was gone. And if you look at it, a lot of times, even when kids are babies, they're automatically sent right like to daycare, and then they go to preschool, and then they go to school. So yeah, a lot of people really do have a tough time bonding with their kids. And yeah, a root of that really was back when compulsory school laws were instituted, because that whole centrality of the family that had been around for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, was just taken away like that, just like that. And that's why it really does bother me when people will make comments like that to me, that school should be around because there are people with bad parents. And I'm thinking, but school is the reason that there are bad parents. So yeah, there has to be an answer to it. I'm not sure what the answer is, because I'm not sure if it was orchestrated this way from the very beginning or if it's just like a side effect. But what has ended up happening is that as long as there is compulsory schooling, bad parenting is just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse, especially if you look at the fact that, they're trying to send kids to school longer. There are all sorts of after-school programs. We even have people who were into Common Core, who were the writers of Common Core. They're actually talking about making public schools boarding schools for those children who need it. Now, who decides what children need it? I have no idea, and I don't really want to know, to be quite honest with you. I don't like the way that sounds. But I just look at it as this vicious cycle. As long as there is compulsory schooling, bad parenting is going to be there. So the only thing again, and I'm like talking, I'm obviously not going to make a difference. No, but I do like to think about these things, because how can we solve this? And it goes back to the compulsory part of school, because the whole educational aspect does not have to be bad. It is the compulsory aspect that makes it that way. I honestly believe that school should be a choice. It should be a choice for parents to send their kids to school. If the government wants to provide a free education to kids for parents who would like to take up their offer, okay, that's one thing. If it's just something that is voluntary, and I'd have to say that a lot of those people that we call bad parents would probably end up sending their kids there anyway, because for a lot of people it is just like it's a free daycare. That's what it is. It's a glorified daycare. But somebody pointed out that is the reason we should have school, because we've got to protect those kids with bad parents. That's why school has to be compulsory. No, I don't believe that school has to be compulsory, just because if you think back to when you were in school, now I'm assuming that most of you probably went to a traditional school, but if you think back to when you were in school, do you remember how you would always have that one kid in class who would always be making noise or doing something that would get the entire class in trouble? I mean, schools are notorious for that. Parents are notorious for that. I'm notorious for that at times. If I know that something happened in my house and no one is willing to fess up and tell me what actually happened, then yes, a lot of times the whole lot of them, whoever was there, will get in trouble together. And that is what this reminds me of. When they say that school should be compulsory because you have a few bad egg parents, it just seems like you're punishing all parents because a few parents might not be the best role models for their kids. So those are just my thoughts on this right now. And I had like a whole Twitter conversation going on with someone who adamantly disagreed with me because, of course, his wife is a teacher. And I shouldn't even say of course, because there are a lot of teachers who actually agree with me. And there are a lot of teachers who actually no longer teach. But this particular person, he was just adamantly disagreeing with me and telling me that homeschooling is not the answer and homeschooling isn't even good for anyone. And he was just going on and on about the kids with bad parents. But I think that I can't even say until we, in a perfect world, if we could get rid of compulsory schooling, that is the only way that I could see that familial bond would be back again. When parents would actually learn how to be around their kids and would learn how to parent again. As long as kids are forced to be away from their parents, for 30 to 35 hours a week, sometimes even more, you're not going to have that bond. And, I have to say that, yes, homeschooling is, it falls under the compulsory school laws. Now it does. And we are blessed in that. If you fill out the proper documentation, if you do things accordingly, yes, you can keep your kids home with you. But the vast majority of the population just isn't going to do that because it's not the way that they were brought up and it's not something that they would ever think to do. So I really think that, I don't know. And here's where I'm at right now. I realize that they're never going to do away with compulsory schooling and it actually, as much as I want everybody to homeschool, I've said this before, as the homeschool population grows and grows and grows, I'm cheering them on. I'm so happy for it, but I keep thinking, what are they going to do about it once our population gets to be too big? Because these schools, they lose funding if they have less students in their school. So that is less money. And let's be honest, if you have researched the history of education, and I'm assuming that most of you who are here probably have seen my videos about the history of education or have probably looked into it on your own. I know that a lot of people who come here do. A lot of you realize that, yeah, it was not about education. It was about training people to be obedient workers. That is what it was about. And so I think that's what's going to happen is that as the homeschool population grows, they see that there is a huge lot of people that is no longer being trained in their indoctrination centers, in their schools, and in their factory-based learning centers, whatever you want to call them. So that is just something that I wanted to bring up with you today. Now I'm going to look in the chat. I try not to look at it because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, because whenever I look at chat while I'm talking, I don't know, I lose track of where I'm at. So I'm going to head on over. I'm going to see what you all have to say about this. I'm interested to see if you guys agree with me. And yeah, I have to do it over on my laptop because it disappears on my phone after a while. Okay. I'm so glad to see that you guys are here anyway. All right. Amy Bragdon says, amen. Can't tell you how many times I've heard, can't wait till they turn 5 and go to school, then the school can deal with them. Yes. And that is one of the major issues, is because parents have grown so used to to teachers dealing with those behavioral issues with their kids. That is one of the things that is taking away a parent's ability to nurture, a parent's ability to discipline, and to just know how to be an authority figure. As long as a parent just keeps pushing everything onto a teacher, not only is that unfair to the teacher, because it is not the responsibility of the teacher to parent. Now, a lot of school authorities would probably not care because they want to have that sort of role, but the teachers themselves, it's not fair to them. Parents need to be parents, and people have got to stop pushing the problems that they have with their kids off on the teachers. But since kids are with their teachers more than they are usually with their parents, that is exactly what is going to happen. This bad parenting epidemic that is going on is never going to end if we keep going down the path that we are on right now. So, just want to say hi to so many people. I see new people. I see people who were here before. Cecilia, Makeup by Chris, One Clever Girl, Boy Tribe of 5, Cecilia Calvin, Amy Bragdon, Erica, Dawn, I see you're here. Nice to see you. Karasu the Dreamer, you're so faithful. Let me see. Joe, good to see you. Elizabeth, I'm so happy to see you too. Sherry Price, Tachi. All right. Rachel Ray says, nothing wrong with taking charge of my children's education. I'm also not worried about them missing out on public school experiences when a lot is bad. Yes, that is so true. I actually posted a socialization meme, and a lot of these memes are, they're supposed to be funny, but of course you're always going to have people who really take them to heart. But it does stir up conversations. And the fact is that we as homeschooling parents are very often asked the socialization question. And if you look at socialization in the schools today, or what they consider socialization, I'm not sure that it's something that, first of all, I would even consider my kids. And second of all, it's not an accurate reflection of the real world. Sitting in a class, or not a class, well, it is a class, but sitting in a room all day long, every single day, that is not socialization. And on top of that, you have bullying. You have lots of bad role models in school. Yes, there are good kids there. I'm not going to say that there's not good kids. Of course there are. But when your kids are at school, you do not know who your kids are hanging out with. And the teachers, they can watch every single child like a hawk. So to me, true socialization is children who are able to interact with people of all ages. And the people that I want to be role models for my kids are not those children at school who, I don't know what they're doing. I want my kids to have role models who are adults, and I know what kind, not just adults, but I should say I want them also to be around adults, kids too, all ages, and I want them to be around people that I know have good character. Yes, I understand that once kids get older and once they graduate, they're going to encounter all types of people. But when your kids are younger, you've got to give them that foundation of good character. It's like building a house on sand. You don't want that to happen. And that is important. Okay. Kelly said, my sister can't stand her kids at home with her. There's so many people like that, and it's honestly just because they're just not used to it. They're so used to their kids being away all of the time that they just become accustomed to just always being by themselves, being able to do what they want, get things done the way that they want them, and they no longer know how to have that interaction. They no longer know how to problem solve with their kids because they're not with them. It all goes back to that. People become bad parents, especially. Now, not every situation, but a lot of times people become bad parents because they are not even able to practice on their own kids because they're not with them. Okay, Makeup by Chris said, Rachel, I get it all the time too. Don't you get tired? Oh, it just skipped on me. Don't you get tired of having your kid around? Or I couldn't do that because I need me time. Yeah, I know. And they say it right in front of your kids, or they'll say it right in front of their kids. And it's just like, what are you thinking? Rachel Ray said, we only get them for 18 years or so. Why would we want to give that up? Amen. Because, people look at that, 18 years, it's such a long amount of time. When you compare that to, hopefully, if your child lives a good long life, 18 years is a drop in the bucket. It is, and it goes so quickly. I can attest to that. My oldest son, he is 25 years old. I've got 3 adult kids now, 25, 19, and 18. So I know how fast that goes, and it's not something, I would never want to trade those years. And I do have to say, my oldest son, my 25-year-old, He graduated from public school. I homeschooled him for 9th and 10th grade. That was during my bout of where I was trying to completely imitate school and I made it miserable for everyone. So I sent the kids back to school for 2 years. And it was during that time that he graduated. But yeah, I do regret all the years that I sent him to school. And I'm happy though for those 2 years, even though I was being a total tyrant during those 2 years when I first started homeschooling and didn't really know what I was doing. I'm still glad for that time that I had with him. I still had more time with him than what a lot of parents do. Let's see. Makeup by Chris said, I've nailed it so many times in this video. Thank you. This is something that's really been on my mind. It's on my mind a lot, but it has been especially on my mind the last few days. Let me see. All right, and KW Ed said, as soon as people can put their kids in school, and sometimes nursery school, they will. Yes, I actually... Some of you might remember I did a video a couple months back because I had read an article in Fox News, and it was about a woman who was basically feeling sorry for herself because while she was pregnant, she signed her unborn child up for all kinds of nursery schools and daycares, prestigious ones, and she wasn't going to get back that deposit that she put on, even though her child wasn't accepted. And that's what the article was about. We were like supposed to feel sorry for her and the rising cost of like these prestigious daycares. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, just, parent your child. That's what we need to be doing. When you're pregnant, you should be excited about that baby in your arms, of nurturing that baby, feeding that baby, spending time with that baby, bonding with that baby, not filling out forms to get them put in daycare as soon as you can, as soon as they're born. It's completely alien to me. Joanne said there's a bad teacher epidemic too, though there are some with good intentions. Yes, that is absolutely true. And I think we all know that with all of the pedophile teachers that are out there right now. And, it's not like I want to say that every teacher out there is like that because, like Joe pointed out, there are some really great teachers out there. And I have to say that some of the best people that I have in my life are my kids' former teachers. My second and third oldest, Their former teachers, their first and second grade teachers are retired now, but they go to my church. They are just the best ladies. And even when my kids were in school and they were their teachers, those teachers, they understood the nonsense that was going on at these schools. And even though at that point, homeschooling was not even on my radar when my kids had them as teachers, but I was very vocal in the school, and I would never stand up for things that I thought were injustices in the school. And they knew that. I was also really heavily involved in the PTA. I was one of only 2 or 3 parents in the PTA. Along with them, those teachers were in the PTA with me. But whenever they would see things happening in the schools that they thought were ridiculous, but that they did not feel free to talk about because they would get in trouble, they would come up to me and they would ask me, hey, Shelly, can you please do something about this? Or can you please say something? Can you please complain about this? So yeah, there are definitely teachers who honestly care about the kids. But again, there are some that you have to watch. And that's why I said, I don't want a stranger raising my kids. I want to do that. Let me see. Rachel Ray said, yes, the me time comment irritates me. Assuming as a homeschool parent, you don't have a moment. I know. And, I do have to say that having 11 kids, yeah, it is hard. It is hard for me to have me time. But even something like as small as a nice hot shower, uninterrupted hot shower, is something that can really help to settle you down. It can help to ground you. And yeah, you learn how to make it work. And you have to get to the point where you're willing to do things because your children need you. So that is the hard thing for a lot of people, is that rearranging those priorities and moving themselves from up here and their child from, down here, and then their child. So, Karasu the Dreamer, excuse me, let me take a sip of my water. Sorry, that was going to happen. I don't know, is this buffering right now? Looks like it's buffering. I hope it's not buffering for you guys. Darcy the Dreamer said, when I was in public school, kids would smoke while they walked to and from school. Definitely. Let me just go down. Guys, is it buffering? If it's buffering, can you just let me know in the chat? Because here on my laptop, it's buffering. So I just want to make sure that you guys are actually able to hear or see what I'm doing. Oh, it's not buffering for you? Okay. And it's just my cheap computer. All right. Let me see. I don't want to miss any comments. All right. Okay, KW Ed said, or they say I don't have the patience in me for homeschooling. Huh? I don't have superpowers either, but I want this for my kids. Yes, that's true. You don't have to be a superhero to homeschool. You know, we don't have like unlimited patience, and we get mad sometimes. Ask my kids. My 17-year-old daughter is out there baking right now. She's like, yeah, we get mad sometimes. We lose our patience. And yeah, we're not perfect, not even anywhere near it. But again, you learn to stretch yourself. As my pastor said the one time in a sermon, and I bring this up all the time, he basically said that God grants you the capacity to do the things that you need to do. So you might think you have this much patience. God will grant you the capacity to have this much if that's what you need. Alyssa Bath said, every time my kids hang out with school kids or any other kids, they pick up terrible behaviors or words, and that takes forever to go away, if ever. I guard my kids a lot, but I know what's best for them. Yeah, that is something that I am definitely noticing as well. When my kids did go back to school for 2 years, their personalities did change. And, you know, the same thing with my kids now. They are not, oh, it did buffer. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. Mine is still buffering, so I'm afraid that it is for some people. But anyway, my kids, I did notice a change in their behavior. They are by no means perfect kids. And even now, they bicker, they fight. And actually, the last couple days, since they've been stuck in the house because it's been cold and kind of like a slushy snow and everything, they've been bickering quite a bit. But I noticed a definite change in behavior when they went back to school for those 2 years. And yeah, it took a long time to get some of those behaviors out of there. But even now, like my son, my 10-year-old, he slept over at a neighbor's house for 2 days. And even then when he came home, I could automatically notice that he was different. And I had to tell him, you know what? If you're gonna act like this, I'm not gonna be able to let you stay there anymore. So you have to watch those things. Let me see. Okay, Heidi said, my son will be 5 in 2 months, and I decided to keep him home when he was itty-bitty. Public school really did a number to me, and I refused to let it happen to him. You are at such a great advantage in, deciding that right in the beginning of the game. Casey Joe said, it is so sad to see, especially seeing it from our point of view now, but I was that mom once too, and I am still trying to overcome the issues I accumulated as a mother during that time. Me too, Casey Joe. Bestie's Mirror said, it is a thankless job, and mama often gets depression or a sort of frustration. Since I'm a beginner in homeschooling, could you give me some suggestions? Bestie's Mirror, I'm not sure how old is your child. That's my first question. And my second question is whether or not you have deschooled. Okay, Tachi said, Rachel, I get the me time comments all the time too. I'm pretty sure some of these comments come from the wrong assumptions that people have of homeschooling. Yes. Tachi Mitchell said, I'm pretty sure some of my neighbors think that I spent all day teaching my kids school. That is something that my neighbors will not think, most likely, because since we get done with school by like lunchtime, a lot of times my kids will be out in the yard already at 12 o'clock playing. So that's definitely not something that I think my neighbors are thinking. My kids, when it's nice out, they want to be outside. All right, Nicole M. said, the straw that broke the camel's back for us were kids on the bus watching very inappropriate videos on their cell phones. Yes, absolutely disturbing. Yep. And that is another issue that you can even have homeschooling. It's hard, because your kids want to have friends, and most of their friends are going to be going to public school. And what do? Do you follow your child around all the time? You have to, at some point, trust your child, but, to what extent? Because you don't know what these other kids are showing them. It is tough. It is really tough, especially, in this day and age where a lot of people really do not supervise their kids at all. Let me see. Kelly Patterson said, this is what I am stopping, the tyranny. Amen. Okay, Joe said mine are 30, 26, 22, and 14, all boys, 14-year-olds still homeschooling and loving it. That is awesome. Kelly, I'm glad my videos help you. Boy Tribe of 5 said, just let them play. They're children, not little adults. Yes, that's something that, a lot of people don't understand. They literally are turning children into miniature adults. And if you look at a lot of, like Peter Gray, now, first of all, I will say that I very often say that psychology is more of an art than a science. I will say that. I'm not really big on psychology, but I do like Peter Gray because he has really studied children. He has just spent an enormous effort in looking into how they learn. And yes, he does say that children learn through play. That is how they make sense of the world. And what is, excuse me, what is happening is these kids are being sent to school at such a young age that part of their life, that discovery learning that they so desperately need, is being taken away from them, and they are being expected to do skills like bookwork before they are developmentally ready. And then we wonder why there are so many issues in school, where kids have learning issues. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. The heat in my house, it makes my throat dry so quickly. Okay, let me see. Rachel Ray, it's a tough transition. We have bad days, but the good days outweigh the bad. Yes, absolutely. No day is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect homeschool, and you'll learn that very quick. But like Rachel Ray said, yes, the good definitely outweighs the bad. Alyssa Beth said, since I homeschool, I always have people wanting me to babysit their kids and teach them, and I always decline. They don't have to work because they have enough income already. They just want more. I have a funny story. A few years ago, before I actually moved into this house, I was living about an hour away from here. And I was homeschooling my kids, and there was a knock at the door. And it was a neighbor who lived like 3 doors down. And I didn't really know her very well. I had talked to her a few times, like we would stand outside and talk to each other. But she had 3 little ones. And she came to my door and she actually asked me if I would start homeschooling her 3 little ones for her so that she could get some cleaning done around her house. And I was like, no, I think I have my hands full with my own kids already. And when she left, I was just like, oh my gosh, I never expected somebody to actually say that to me. But yes, that's what she wanted. She wanted me to homeschool her 3 little children. They weren't school age yet, so she could get cleaning done around the house. Oh, and also so that she could sleep in because she had problems sleeping at night. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Is this even real? So anyway, yeah, it happens. Okay, Caitlin Brooks said, what about parents who have to work? Also, my family is very close. It's okay to state your opinion, but it is so wrong to, hold on, where are you? But it's so wrong to call people bad parents for sending their kids to school. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the, of my live stream, but I pointed out who I was and was not referring to as bad parents. In the beginning of the live stream, I said that I'm not using the bad parent label like to parents say regarding like how they feed their kids or how they, like whether they breastfeed or bottle feed or whether they vaccinate or not. The bad parent label that I am using is, and I said this in the beginning of the video, bad parents are those who abuse their children and neglect them. That is the bad parenting that I am referring to. And though if you were, I don't know if you've seen it, but that is what has brought all these comments about how school should be a thing because there are people who abuse their kids. Those are the bad parents. Yes, we're talking about how school should not be mandatory for people right now, but I'm not referring to those people as bad parents. It is just the ones that I said earlier. Abusive and neglectful parents. Okay. Dream Achieve Repeat said, you say so much of what I want to say. There are good teachers, but many are underpaid and don't give it their all. Right. Elizabeth said, materialistic things, and to me, choosing that over time with your children, trying to shove it on someone else is unacceptable. Please stay home if you can. Yes. Choose your kids over everything. Yes. They need to come first. Like it was pointed out earlier, you only get that small amount of time with them. Let me see. I hope it stopped buffering for everybody now. It is still buffering for me. I'm assuming that since I'm getting comments and that people are still here, that it's not buffering for everyone. I have like the cheapest laptop that Walmart had to offer, so that's probably why I'm still having an issue. Blue Velvet said, I got that same missing out nonsense projected at me just a few days ago. Exactly that. Homeschooling is the best you can possibly do, so don't give up and ignore the criticism. Okay. Casey Joe said, make an online local homeschooling group and be vigilant to set up group events together. Yeah, there is actually one for our area. Unfortunately, I don't ever get to go on any of the field trips for our group because they're always during the day and we only have one car. And my husband has the car at work. So it doesn't work out for us, but I know a lot of people use that. Rachel Ray said, my daughter is special needs, so everyone who doesn't understand homeschooling just assumes I'm not qualified to teach her. Yeah, that was another comment that was made on Twitter, and I was like, no, you don't understand. There are a lot of parents with special needs children who homeschool because who knows your child better than you? And it depends on the level of special needs, but I know of people who have kids, with like cerebral palsy who homeschool their kids. And if you somehow have if you have the resources that you need, you can do it. Whether, I'm considered homeschooling special needs because I had a child with ADHD, and so the levels of special needs differ, but you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it, and you will seek out any additional resources if you need them. Heidi Lorenz said, turning kids into miniature adults is so wrong. It's confusing because they don't know how to be themselves. I had that struggle. Oops. And it wasn't fun. I much prefer play. It's healthier. Yes, it is. Karasu the Dreamer said, I believe it's important to have a parent at home with the kids, but that it could be either parent. Yeah, there are a lot of stay-at-home dads that even homeschool. Alicia Ward, on week 8 of homeschooling, having started mid-year. I work full-time at home, feeling like on paper it all looks good, but in real life it's been really hard. Watching your videos have really helped. I'm glad. And just remember, you're just starting out, and everybody feels that way in the beginning. And it can take years till you actually find till you get your groove going, if you know what I mean. So I also, that's something that I used to do a lot. I would write down what my kids did throughout the day. Like if I would think to myself, I don't know, did my kids really do enough today? And then I would sit down at night and I would write it down. And yes, when you actually have it on paper, I think that you have a better understanding of just how much was accomplished. So if it helps you, by all means, keep doing that. Let me see. Tachi Mitchell said, my best friend here in the neighborhood just started teaching at a public school, and some of the stories she tells me have me, yeah, I'm so thankful to shelter my kids from these toxic environments. Yeah, there was, at my church, I was telling you how my kids' former teachers, they retired now, go to my church. Well, one of them, her niece was also an elementary school teacher, and she would tell me how she was a first grade teacher. I think either first or second grade, I'm pretty sure it was first. And her classroom was right next to the office. And she said that they would have kids sitting in the office every day screaming curse words, like when they were getting in trouble, just like throwing all out fits, and they could hear everything through her classroom wall since she was right there next to the office. And she said that it was so hard teaching, and it was so awkward for her when you would hear the language that was coming out of these kids. And again, they were like 6-7 years old. Let me see. A.K. Hill, new here. What are your main reasons for homeschooling? Okay, I have a lot of reasons for homeschooling. I homeschool, first of all, because I want our Christian faith to be central to my kids' learning, and that's not something that they will get at school at all. I also homeschool because I have had my kids in school. I have seen the effects that it had on them. I see the nonsense that goes on there. Another reason is because I have actually studied the history of education for years now, and it is not like the history of education is pretty telling because the compulsory school system was never about education. It was about indoctrination. And you hear a lot of people say that sarcastically, but no, it really was. It was based on the Prussian model of education. The Prussians decided that they were going to make school compulsory there too because they wanted to train obedient citizens. Well, they adopted that Prussian model, not just here, in other countries too, because they wanted obedient factory workers because compulsory school laws were passed, or at least the factory school model, I should say. Those schools were set up during the Industrial Revolution. John D. Rockefeller was huge behind the setting up of compulsory schooling because, of course, he was into the Industrial Revolution. He was the main driving force behind it. He wanted people who could work in his factories. They were also trying to prevent overproduction in these factories. They were afraid that they would produce too many things and they would lose money because they would not have enough consumers. Because at that point in time, most people were self-sufficient. They were living their lives on their own, growing their own food. They had farms. They were building their own houses, making their own clothing. They knew how to do things on their own. Taking kids out of the home so that they no longer learned those skills not only trained factory workers, but it brought up a nation of consumers, people who now have to buy things because not only do they not have time to do everything on their own anymore because they have to go out and work every day for other people, but they don't know how to do those things anymore because they were never home to learn those things. So it's pretty sinister. And John D. Rockefeller, there's even a quote by him where he said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers." And John D. Rockefeller, driving force behind both the Industrial Revolution and the compulsory school system. So in a nutshell. So there are some other reasons that I homeschool, just because I want my kids to be with me. Like, I want our family to be central. I also do it for safety issues. There's bullying at schools. There are, school shootings are few and far between, but it's not a chance that I'm going to take with my kids. Now you have these teachers preying on students. I honestly am at the point where there are so many reasons to homeschool, I could not even come up with one reason not to. Let me see. Blue Velvet said, schools aren't what they used to be like when we went. Now they're indoctrination centers from unqualified social or government workers who unmerit. My thing keeps, it keeps skipping around whenever I talk. Who unmerit and degress children. It looks like factory training. And that's really what it always was. I think that it's just gotten to the point now where it's at an extreme now. Our schools are at an extreme now. They are no longer teaching common sense. Everything is about feelings, There's no more facts. It's all about feelings. And that's why a lot of these people, they can't handle things, They need safe spaces. They need, they're afraid of words. And it's because they are not taught the art of rhetoric. They are not taught how to debate their sides of things. They're just taught how to shield themselves, and they're taught that they shouldn't have to put up with other people making them feel bad. That is the state of our schools right now. So another reason I'm homeschooling. Let me see. Rachel Ray said, I went to public school and I was one of those kids who slipped through the cracks. Sadly, I'm actually learning while teaching my daughter. You know what, Rachel Ray? I was a gifted AP student, and I'm still learning a lot while I'm homeschooling my kids. I know more history now from homeschooling than I ever did from school. So I don't even think that it matters what sort of student you were when you were in school. It's just the way that you learn, the way that you approach it can really have an impact on how you retain it. Not just kids, but even us parents. And that actually really helps. If you've got more than one child, you're going to have that knowledge already once your other kids start coming up to that level. Let me see. Casey Joe said, we also are planning on group vacations like camping and stuff. Yes, we went to the beach last year, to Ocean City, New Jersey. We just did it for the day, though. But that was a lot of fun. Now we're actually thinking about looking into getting a cabin it's at Knoebels Grove. It's like an amusement park, but there's also a campground there, and the cabins are actually really, really inexpensive. So we were thinking about doing that and going there maybe for a weekend this year. So that would be something fun, because vacations are something that, as a really large family that pretty much survives on one income and like whatever pennies I get, we don't really get to go away a whole lot. So this is like a real treat for us. Yes, Joe, let's hear it for the homeschooling dads. You probably said that a while ago, and I'm sorry. I'm just like catching up now because I'm talking so much. I'm like really into this stuff. Casey Joe, I want to know how to get myself back in the mindset of playing and having an imagination. I struggle relating with my children, and sometimes I wonder if I will be able to fix that. Okay, here's my take on that. Is it close to you, Melissa? It's a couple hours from me. So, what was I saying? Oh, okay, here's my take on playing. Yeah, you want to definitely be able to do fun things with your kids, and you want to have activities that you all enjoy. But I think that you have to be careful. There are a lot of moms especially, but dads too, who feel like they have to be playing with their kids all the time. And the thing is that kids really do need to learn how to entertain themselves or to play with their siblings. So while, yeah, it's definitely fun to play games with your kids and do stuff all together once in a while, don't ever feel like it's something that you have to do all the time, because your kids will learn far more if they are given the freedom to just kind of play like unscripted, if you know what I mean. Blue Velvet said, before I decided to homeschool, I was bullied, threatened, and lied to by teachers who tried to intimidate me, that I wasn't qualified, and every other intimidation under the sun. Yeah, I've got to say that when I decided to pull my kids back out of school again, I ended up at the grocery store, and my son's learning support teacher was in line at the grocery store behind me. And I just happened to mention to her that I was going to start homeschooling again. And she actually said, I think that's good. She said, my daughter homeschools too. So I've really been lucky. Most of the teachers, in my experience, have been very supportive. Although I do have to say that one of the teachers that I referred to earlier, she did say to me at one point, because she's still very pro public school. Like she doesn't bash me for homeschooling or anything, but of course she's still very pro public school, even though she had a lot of issues there. But I remember when I pulled my kids back out of school the second time, she actually said to me, why are you homeschooling again? Don't you have enough help at home? And I was thinking, what? What does that even mean? If my kids are home with me all day long, I'm going to have more stuff to do, more mess, more cooking, more everything. So I'm not really sure, but that was really the only time that a teacher actually said anything kind of negative about it for me. Let me see. Heidi Lorenz said, my reason for homeschooling, I was horribly bullied by students, by teachers, very damaging in elementary. I'm also a sensitive person, and that singled me out. Teachers never stopped the bullying. Wow. Okay. Joe M said, thank you, Hannah. Oh, you're talking about Joe, the great homeschooling dad. It is awesome that you do that. And you hear it more and more now. Let me see. Oh, and I see we have a troll here, so we are going to delete this person. Okay. Heidi Lorenz said, my son is busy, creative, and I don't want to see him fall between the cracks or feel that he is less intelligent because he's busy. Teachers would consider him disruptive. That's exactly right. That's what happens. If they don't fit that school, that box, they're singled out and they're made to feel less than. They're made to feel like they're not as intelligent, when the fact is that's not the case at all. Just because somebody learns differently, which is how God made us. He made us so that we are all individuals and we all have our unique learning styles. And schools are not equipped to be able to deal with that. So what ends up happening by default is the kids who do not fit that box, like I said earlier, they kind of get pushed to the side and stigmatized. Yes, Casey, I probably will have you help me moderate later. Yes, because I see that we have this person still on here bugging us. Hide user on this channel. Bye. All right. Anyway, that's the problem. Like when I get behind on my chats, like you just don't know what's going on. And usually things are okay. We usually don't have people, but yeah, occasionally you get trolls and I don't have anybody here helping. So let me see. Mel Sanchez said, "Hi, Shelly. Thank you for walking beside me as I homeschool my 4 daughters. Sometimes, though, I feel like I'm not good enough to homeschool when we don't get everything completed during the week." Oh, I have some videos on that. You don't have to worry about getting everything done, like specifically as the schedule says. Don't worry so much about schedules and about checking things off. Just worry about progressing, okay? It's about moving forward. Because chances are that the reason that you are not getting all of everything done is because you have other things going on in your life. And the fact is that those everyday life things that happen in the midst of your homeschooling are very, very, they're much more likely to have more of an impact on your child than any papers they could possibly be doing. If you think back to your school days, you probably don't remember all that much, I'm thinking. I know I don't. Yeah, of course, like reading and basic math and stuff. Yeah, remember that. I do remember some algebra because of helping my kids with it. But really, life learning is where it's at. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to go down here. Oh, looks like we've got a few trolls here. I must be getting popular. Okay. Let me see. Sorry, I just want to make sure that if anybody asks me anything, I get it. Okay, Mama Bear Meat Party said, "I am afraid going to remove my kids tomorrow, and they've already called me and questioned me." And the thing is that they can't question you. Homeschooling is legal in every state. Don't let them intimidate you. And I know that a lot of times they will try to do that, but you have the law behind you, and you can tell them that. And even if you want, you could print out the law, take it with you, because yes, it is legal in every state. And that makes me so mad when they try to get people not to do it. Let me see. Mama Bear Meat Party said, "I just gave them some time off, and with the Minnesota weather," oh, I have a friend there. I know that it's been cold. "They have missed 9 days each, so now I could be violating statutes." Ay, ay, ay. Well, and you won't have to worry about that with homeschooling, will you? Every day is a school day. All right, Melissa Keister said, "I have a kiddo like that too. He is super smart and I can barely keep him busy. He devours everything I give him." Yeah, isn't that awesome when you have a child who is so motivated to learn in that way? Let me see. Oh my gosh. This person is just crazy. Yeah, Casey Joe, I might message you before the next live stream to add you as a moderator, because what a sad world we live in. People honestly don't have anything. Let me see if I can add you now. Sorry. I'm just going to try to see if I can add a moderator now. Oh, never mind. I have to do your URL. Darn it. Okay. Well, next time, Casey Joe, I'm going to add you. Heidi Loren said, "My son is busy, creative, and I don't want to see him fall between the cracks or feel that he is less intelligent because he's busy. Teachers would consider him disruptive." And I already read that. See, it like jumped down again. All right. "A Tribe Called Crew's first year homeschooling. It's so overwhelming, then I stop." Yeah, it is overwhelming. And you have to remember that. It's never like, no one ever starts. And thank you, Lady Cat, if you just reported one. But it's never something that like automatically, bam, happens right away and you do everything perfectly. It's trial and error. Really, that's what it's all about. Trial and error, and just to have faith in yourself. You were your child's first teacher. You were. Let me see. All right. A tribe called Cruz. I'm overwhelmed. It's because I'm trying to fit into the system. Well, and that's the thing. As a homeschooler, you don't have to fit into the system. You have freedom. One of the greatest things about homeschooling is freedom. And thank you for everyone who reported people. Anyway, Karasu the Dreamer said, when I was in middle school, my first special education teacher, there were several, wasn't even qualified or certified as a special education teacher. Yeah, I've talked about like the things that my kids dealt with in school with the special education teachers. They were very nice, but they weren't doing anything that I as a parent didn't already know instinctively. So I always had an issue with that. All right. Let me see. Yeah, I'm just going to read this. Hannah said that she reported all 3 troll comments that she saw. Does our reporting help you with monitoring, or perhaps reports go directly to YouTube and not to you? It probably goes directly to YouTube, but I do appreciate that you're reporting it, because yeah, I'm not seeing them like as they're coming because I'm so far behind. So yeah, next week I will, not next week, but 2 weeks from now, I will definitely have someone. So actually, here's what I'm going to do. If by any chance in 2 weeks when I do the next live stream, if you are free to moderate, if you could maybe hop over to my channel onto the live stream, maybe just like 10 minutes early so that I could add you as a moderator, I would really, really, really appreciate that. Let me see. Okay, Heidi Lorenz said, Mama Bear, I agree. If you feel like homeschooling is right for you, do so. We do have a bunch of groups in Minnesota. Yeah, and from what I understand, the homeschool laws in Minnesota are really, really reasonable. Blue Velvet said, I have a relative in my family who has demonized me because I have a problem with the school system. Said that's the world, and to accept it. I refuse that statement quickly, as I am also faith-based. Faith-based. I can't even talk anymore. Yeah. Don't let them bring you down. And, you know, one thing that I always remember is that our forefathers, like during the revolution during those times, can you imagine what they would have done if compulsory school laws would have crept up then? They would have thrown a fit. There would have been a huge, battle over that. They were not complacent like we are. And that's the thing. These are our children. And I think that people fail to remember that. Let me see. Mama Bear Meat Party. Oh, I just lost it again. Okay, Mama Bear Meat Party said I was planning to give them some time off to realign, and now I'm scared they will send someone to our door. They are my kids. This is crazy. I know. I always used to be afraid of that too when I started homeschooling. You get over it. You get over that fear. Chances are it's not going to happen. I don't know anybody that has personally happened to. Plus, you need to remember, there are people who unschool. Unschoolers do not use any sort of curriculum. They do not use any sort of structured learning. But since unschooling is a form of homeschooling, it is legal. Remember that. Let me see. Velvet Bloom said, just ordered Natural Speller. I hope you like it. Let me see. Okay, Dawn Wade said, I ordered Daily Grams and Natural Speller thanks to your videos. I would love CONUS, just not sure if I'm cut out for the planning involved. Honestly, Dawn, it takes me a couple minutes a week. That is it. It does not even take me a long, because I don't do the really extravagant activities that are in CONUS. If I know it's something that my kids would really enjoy, like the one time we did a medieval feast that we planned for several weeks, and we did all the food that they would have eaten in those times, and my kids, they learned a song to perform, and they learned different roles and what different people are called. That I did. But for the most part, I just choose simple things because you guys know I'm about simplicity. It does not take me long to plan CONUS at all. Honestly, a couple of minutes and I have a whole week planned. Let me see. Casey Joe said, speaking of laws, watch your upcoming laws. We just annihilated an upcoming one here, but they are coming for us nationwide. Yeah, I have now heard, where was the other one at now? Oh my gosh. Who sent me that on Instagram? Was that Cookie Crumb? I think so. I know that there is another place now. I think it might be Iowa, where they're doing the same thing with that whole Orwellian homeschool law thing. And hopefully HSLDA gets that one dismissed as well. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just trying to get through here. Oh, yeah. I just said it right here. Hannah said, yeah, it is Iowa that it's happening to. All right. Alyssa Beth said, sorry, I'm back. We forgot to do our CTC math today, so my son had to do it. That's okay. Let me see. Mama Bear Meat Party said, I don't know if anyone is in the chat from last time, but thank you for all of your support with their stepdad. My husband, the girl's dad, is so supportive, and you all told me how I could also reassure. I'm glad. The chat here is awesome, aren't they? They're all so helpful. Let me see. I'm just going to keep going. Oh, I love that. Delight yourself in the Lord. I'd like to remember that we are here to shepherd their souls and not cram academics. Yes. I cannot yes that enough. You need to make a meme for that. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just going to start answering specific questions now because it's 11, and I just want to get to actual questions now. Yeah, Blue Velvet said, out of fear, I joined the HSLDA. That's why a lot of us join HSLDA, because we know that eventually things are going to start getting rough for us. And what better way to have some sort of backing, by someone. And for $10 a month, it's well worth it to have that security. Okay, A Tribe Called Cruz. What do you think of the Charlotte Mason method? I love it. I love living books. I love copywork. I love nature study. And we actually incorporate a lot of Charlotte Mason methods into our homeschool. We don't do it specifically like she has it planned out, with art study and music study and all of those sorts of things. But we incorporate a lot of Charlotte Mason methods into our homeschool. It's very Charlotte Mason-y, if that's even a word. Okay, so Joe said he doesn't unschool, but he's a very relaxed homeschooler, and it served his family and all 4 of his boys well. That's good. It's nice to hear that. Velvet Bloom said parental rights are being stripped in the USA. We moved here from a European country where homeschooling is illegal. I fear America is veering in that direction. Yes, tyranny is everywhere, and it's true. People can deny it. People can say it's not happening, but it is. It's coming. Let me see. My biggest concerns with the proposed bill in PA is that their reasoning is catching up with other states. Other states are not going in a good direction. I know, I saw that. Now they want compulsory school age to be 6. And it's I don't think that they did that whole compulsory school age thing for the public school benefit, because that falls under public school laws also. That's not why they're doing it, because they know that people who put their kids in public school, they put their kids in kindergarten when they're 5. That's how everyone does it. The reason they want to change the compulsory school laws to 6 is because of the homeschoolers. It has nothing to do with the public school kids. Okay, what tips do I have for organizing curriculum and records? Honestly, I just keep our curriculum on a bookshelf, and for our records, it's really simple. I just use a spiral notebook for everything. And I know that people will have really long, or not long, but they'll have huge bins or, all kinds of file folders, and I just don't have room for that. So what I honestly use is just bookshelves. I have 3 plastic totes that I'm looking at right now. One is for my littles, one for my middles, and one for my teens. I put the littles curriculum in one, middles in the other, teens in the other, and they just pull down their bin when it's their time to do school. Otherwise, planning and everything, I just do in a spiral notebook. And that's it. And as for storing their papers and everything, that's what notebooking is great for. They're ready-made portfolios. At the end of the year, I don't have to worry about going around and doing portfolios, because we've had portfolios all year in the form of notebooks. Let me see. Hello from Maryland. This is Florence. I will be homeschooling my kids for the first time starting this summer. What should I do as a beginner? I am nervous, but so glad I found your channel. I think the first thing that you can do is, if you can find an online homeschooling group for Maryland, that is I think that it really helps to have people who know the laws and who know how to do things in your state. I don't know how old your child is, but I think the very most important thing that you can do is to de-school. Take that time to de-school. If you don't know what it is, I will link that video in the description, like while I'm uploading this video after I'm finished. De-schooling is basically completely forgetting about school for a while for both you and your child. This is a time for you to read up on homeschooling, read up on education, how children learn, and it's a time for your child to just learn how to just have free time to explore, to be themselves. Those are the first things I would do. De-school and try to join some homeschooling groups. And I do have a how to get started homeschooling playlist, and I will link that in the description box in a little bit after the video as well. Let me see. Oh yeah, I did see that where they want to keep them in school until 18. That's ridiculous. Especially because if you have kids who are in 12th grade when they're 17, how does that work? What, you're supposed to add like a 13th grade? That makes no sense. Sorry, I'm just going to keep going. I think I got all the questions. And since it is after 11, I also think that I'm going to end this live stream. I want to thank all of you for coming. I'm so happy that you guys noticed that I was doing another live stream this month. I really appreciate it. And yes, next time I'm going to do my best to have some moderators, because looks like I'm getting popular because now we have trolls. So I didn't think they knew I existed before. So anyway, again, thank you so much, and I hope that you all have a great night.